The book is called Saving the Liberty Bell by Megan McDonald. Illustrations by Marsha Gray Carrington. John Jacob limped up to the front door. It was good to be home. Home to the smell of Mama's wild cherry pie baking. Home to the arms of his brothers and sisters around his waist. John, where have you been?" asked Magdalena. "Mama will not tell us," said Christian. "Can you keep a secret?" John whispered. "I've been to Philadelphia." "'Twas black as black night when Papa and I loaded up the wagon, and first blew light by the time we were on our way. After days of so much bumping on the road, I felt my bones were being rearranged. I was sure and certain I would not be the same person seeing Philadelphia as when I left home. Brong, 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 rang the great bell atop the State House. The sound of that bell hung like a storm cloud over the city, calling out a warning. "Redcoats! The Redcoats are coming!" Word spread around like wildfire. Bling, blang, blong. Church bells rang and clanged, answering back. "Make haste! Hide all the valuables! Away with all the supplies! Save them from the English!" See, General Howe and his troops were on the march, and as sure as my name's John Jacob Mickley, they'd be looting and stealing any metal they could get their British hands on. Copper, lead, brass, house gutters, even door knockers. They aimed to melt it all down for musket shot, or worse, cannons. And what do you think would make the biggest prize of all? The Great Bell. Amid the flurry, Papa and I unloaded our farm goods. We were in the stables feeding and watering Kit and June when a man by the name of Colonel Benjamin Flower came up to us. He liked the looks of our horses and asked about our wagon. Next thing I knew, Papa and me, our very own Mickley wagon, had been chosen to help the revolution. "Shh! You mustn't say a word now. Our mission was to hide something big, something important and meaningful, something as great as gold in our wagon. To spirit it away in the middle of the night and to see it safely back in our own Northampton town. And what do you think it was? Hey-ho! 'Twas the Great Bell. I, your own humble brother, was to ride in the very same wagon. Papa said we must wait now till the darkest hour, midnight. Why any passing face could be that of a spy for the British. I do believe all of Philadelphia held its breath that night. Not a dog's bark, not a baby's cry. The bell waited for us in silence, a voice with no tongue. "Papa," I whispered, "that bell stands half as tall as a man and weighs more than 2,000 pounds, said Papa. As soon as the bell was loaded onto the wagon, I rubbed my fingers across its shoulder, trying to read the words of freedom written there. Papa told me they said, "Proclaim liberty throughout all the land, unto all the inhabitants thereof." I took those words straight to heart and held them there for the entire journey. Now, if you're wondering how we hid such a thing as a bell that size, I'll tell you. We heaped mounds of stable straw atop of the bell to cover it up, and potato sacks and such not to mention, of all things, a lady's hoop skirt. That stable straw didn't stink to high heaven, so who would have thought of hiding a bell under there? We left town, a parade without a marching beat. Our wagon gave out squeaky creaks at every turn, and groaned like a cow birthing a calf, until I thought for sure and certain those redcoats would be upon us. "Papa, what will happen if they catch us?" I whispered. "Here, take the reins," Papa said. "Fix your mind on something besides redcoats." As I drove the wagon north to Bethlehem, Papa told me not to worry. He said the redcoats would be fooled into believing the bell, along with 10 or more church bells, was moving east to be sunk in the Delaware River. By the third night out, I'd hardly caught a wink of sleep, but I must have drifted off, because I woke to the sound of 1,000 hoofbeats. Redcoats! Not in all my 11 years had my heart thumped so louder than the distant drums. Every crack of a cannon fire turned my nerves to popping corn. I leaned against the bell and closed my eyes, willing myself steady. We soon hid our wagon in a small stand of trees along the Bethlehem road. It was near morning light. I prayed silently in my head that the shadows would hide us, that Kit and June would not start whining, that my rattling teeth would not give us away. Leaves crunched, twigs snapped, footsteps. "Who's there?" called a soldier. I peered around a tree trunk. "Boy, you there, show yourself. Tell me in the name of General Washington what business you have here." General Washington, I could not believe my ears. 'Twas not a redcoat I saw, but a soldier of Washington's own Continental Army, a patriot. I could see soldiers, horses, and wagons snaking from the horizon. 700 wagons and near 3,000 horses. What a sight! Washington's army right here in Lehigh Valley on their way to the winter quarters. That bell couldn't have been safer. The army escorted us right into Bethlehem, where the orange-tipped trees of our own valley waved us a welcome. But 4 miles from home, crack! Just when I thought the bell was safe, I heard an ear-splitting sound. "Papa!" I shouted. There, in the middle of a square full of onlookers, came a great splintering of wood, like lightning striking a tree. Then crash. "The bell!" I cried as our wagon broke, and I tumbled to the ground, right along with it. My foot turned near to the ankle and swelled like a puffball. I'm sorry to have to tell you that I did a yaw like a dying cat, sprawled there in the mud, while the wheelwright made haste to fix the front wagon wheel. "Hurry," Papa urged. Anyone in that curious crowd might prove to be a spy for General Howe. There was no hiding our prize now, so the farmers hoisted the bell into a stout wagon nearby that Mr. Frederick Leeser. My spirit splintered, though, at the thought of not seeing the great bell to safety in Northampton town. That's when the kind Mr. Leeser offered, "Ride along with me. You've come this far with the bell and cannot abandon it now." After the 6th night had fallen since we left Philadelphia, our wagons rattled toward home. My heart leaped high as a summer frog when I could make out the church steeple sticking up through the trees. Who should we find waiting for us on Hamilton Street but a red-faced Reverend Bloomer, who'd stripped off his jacket, rolled up his sleeves, and plied loose the planks, tearing up the floor of the Zion Reformed Church. Shh! Listen close, my brothers and sisters, for I am passing the secret on to you. You must do your part by keeping your lips sealed as tight as hoops on a barrel. We did spirit away and hide the great bell of Philadelphia under those dusty floorboards. Cross my heart, that's the truth. Think of it there, lifting up your feet this Sabbath as you sing your hymns to heaven. But promise me you will keep my secret, and Papa's, and all the good folks of Northampton Town. Swear in the name of George Washington that you will never, not ever, tell a soul. Your voices, like that bell, must be silent, waiting, hoping in your hearts for freedom to ring again.